Hello again and welcome to another Deathcor of Krieg tactics video. Now in my last video we talked about Marshal Chris Venner. We went into a lot of depth about him because he was a special character for the Deathcor of Krieg. Today's video is going to be a part 2 and I'm going to cover all the other generic HQ choices for the Deathcor of Krieg. Okay, and we're going to start off today with the Deathcor Marshal. Now this is your equivalent to a company commander in the regular Imperial Guard, although it is slightly more expensive. So it's 37 points for a basic Deathcor of Krieg Marshal, and he comes with a standard las pistol and chainsword. Nothing out of the ordinary there. He does have an absolutely eclectic mix of weapon options that you can give him. So in terms of range weapons, you can actually choose to give him 2 bolt pistols, 2 hotshot las pistols, 2 regular las pistols, a bolt pistol, a bolt gun, a hotshot las gun, a hotshot las pistol, a las pistol, and a plasma pistol. So it's quite cool that you can double up and have a bit of a duelist style commander. I believe if you take 2 of the pistols, you can't take a close combat weapon as well. So you can either take 2 pistols or a pistol or close combat weapon. Okay, so it's quite interesting. Personally, I would keep him as cheap as possible, and I would just either take a bolt gun on him or just a las pistol and a chainsword. Okay. Now, in terms of melee weapons, he can take a chainsword, a power axe, a power fist, a power maul, or a power sword. Depending on what you're going for, I mean, again, I would keep the standard loadout as las pistol and chainsword. If I were to equip my marshal for close combat, I'd probably go for a power maul or power axe. Power swords are absolutely great. Don't get me wrong. AP-3 is fantastic, but you do want that strength increase. And so a power maul is only 4 points. Gives you +2 strength. So you've got a strength 5 officer. Very important for when you're dealing with Space Marines. You'll be winning them on 3s, hitting on 3s, winning on 3s, and it's still got AP -1. So you're still making those Marines take a 4+ save. So it's pretty good. Now in terms of the stats on this guy, he has pretty normal stats, to be honest. Company commander level stats: movement 6, weapon skill 3, plus ballistic skill 3, plus strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 4, attacks 3, leadership 8, 4+ armor save. So you do get you get carapace armor. You get a 4+ save, which is pretty good, to be honest. He comes with a refractor field. That's a 5+ invulnerable save. Senior officer, so he may issue 2 orders a turn, and he can issue Deathcor of Krieg infantry or cavalry. Okay, so he can issue orders to. He can't issue orders to Rough Riders because they don't have a regiment, but he can give issues to Death Riders, which is the Deathcor of Krieg specific cavalry unit. Now, I think marshals are pretty essential. Before we move on to the next one, I think marshals are pretty essential. They are the main source of your orders. They're pretty cheap, and I mean, it goes without saying. I mean, you don't really want to run an Imperial Guard army without company commanders. You don't really want to run a Deathcor of Krieg army without your marshals. No, definitely, especially if you're going infantry heavy. You know, we've talked about going. The traditional Deathcor of Krieg tactics involve you using a lot of infantry. As a result, you're going to want a lot of orders. Okay. One interesting thing to mention, and I missed this on Marshal Venner, but it is the case with these officers as well. All your marshals come with both frag and crack grenades, so you don't really need to buy him a good shooting weapon unless it's like a bolter, so he can contribute from a long distance. By the time you get close enough to be using pistols, you might as well lob a crack grenade. So that would be something to keep in mind. So moving on to the next officer. Now this is an interesting one. Deathcor Field Officer. Now these are kind of like platoon commanders. The 23 points, so the 3 points more than platoon commander. But they are an HQ choice. which is a double-edged sword. Okay, because your HQ slots, you can fill them out for cheap. You can use field officers and save yourself 14 points over a regular marshal. You can do that, but on the other hand, is you are filling up your HQ choices very quickly. I mean, if you're taking 3 battalions, for example, you know you're taking as many officers as you can get your hands on. You've already got 3 field officers and 3 marshals. You've already filled up 6 out of your potential 9 HQ choices that you can take. That, you know, then if you start adding Venner in, you fill up 7 out of your 9 HQ choices. That leaves very little room for things like commissars. If you want to take a Lord Commissar, that leaves very little room for that. And you know, that's just and other HQ choices. So it's interesting. Your HQ choices are actually really full as Deathcor of Krieg. Going over what the Marshal has, though, it is not the Marshal. Sorry, going over what the Field Officer has. It's pretty standard. He is essentially a platoon commander with card-based armor. You know, weapon skill 3+, ballistic skill 3+, strength 3, toughness 3, wounds 3, 1 less than a marshal, attacks 3, leadership 8, and a 4+ save. He does come with frag and crack grenades, and he comes with a 5+ invulnerable save, which is great. He has that refractor field, but he can only issue 1 order a turn. So, in terms of weapon options, I think he's got quite a lot of weapon options. Let's just go and have a look at him now. Yeah, chainsword, power axe, power fist, power maul, power sword for the close combat options, and for your shooting options, he's got exactly the same as the Marshal. You know, you can take double pistols if you want to. So he does have a lot of weapon options. He's just a cheaper Marshal, essentially. 1 less wound and 1 less order, and that costs you, and you save 14 points. So there you go. Now the next one that you get is a Deathcor Death Rider Squadron Commander. Is that not a mouthful, to say the least? Now this is essentially an officer on horseback. Okay, let's take a look at his stats. So he has movement 10 because he's on a horse. Weapon skill 3 plus ballistic skill 3 plus strength 4, strength 3, toughness 4, so he is tougher. Wounds 4, so he's got an extra wound, so he's tougher and more wounds than a regular field commander. And leadership 8, 4+ save. Now he does come with an augmented mount. Roll a d6. Each time this model suffers a wound from an attack with strength 4 or less. On a 5+, it ignores the injury and the wound is not lost. So 5+ feel no pain against bolter and bolt-like weapons. That's actually in the new meta, with Marines being all over the place. That's actually really potent, having a 5+ feel no pain, because most things that Marines do these days are just boltering things to death. Marines have got like 17 different bolters they can take. So the fact that this guy has a good immunity against bolters is pretty good. It's pretty potent. He comes with Deathcor Hunting Lance, which gives him +2 strength, gives him strength 5 on the charge. It's -2 AP, it's D3 damage, but you can only use it on the turn that you charge. So the turn that you charge, you get, you know, +2 strength, -2 AP, D3 damage. That's pretty good. Now, he comes with frag and crack grenades, he comes with a lad's pistol, and his mount also gets to attack. So after a model on this mount makes its close combat attacks, you can attack with its mount. Make 2 additional attacks using this weapon's profile, which is strength 4 AP -0. So you have your hunting lance, and then you can take your chainsword as well, so you get an extra attack from that. And then you also get your savage claws. All in all, what you're looking at here is a model that has potentially 6 attacks. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now he has an interesting special rule called War Strider. This mod does not suffer any penalties to its moving when charging into terrain features. So all those times when you've been screwed over by craters are actually a very common occurrence in 40k battles. You'll see him in most battlefields or have craters on them, and they are -2 to your charge, which can really screw you over. Well, guess what? This guy doesn't matter. This guy doesn't care. None of the Deathcor cavalry units care. Now, I believe this guy can only issue one order. He doesn't have a senior officer rule or anything like that, so he can only issue one order, and he does cost 40 points. Okay, so it's not too bad. He's only, he's only 3 points more than a marshal. But really, the reason you want to take this guy is for to keep up with your Death Riders. That's really why you want to take him. Now the last HQ choice to talk about is not a Deathcor specific one, but it is one they can take. Is a tank commander. Now these are just like normal Imperial Guard tank commanders, identical in every single way, and they are absolutely fantastic. It's common knowledge in the Imperial Guard that tank commanders are pretty much an auto include. They are essentially a Lehman Russ. Comes with all the benefits of a Lehman Russ. They cost 142 points, I believe. Yep, 142 points. You then pay for the weapon, and you pay for the turret and for any hull or sponsor weapons that you want to take. They can issue one order. Typically, you'll issue Gunner's Kill on Sight, which lets you reroll ones, and they hit on a 3+. So they're absolutely fantastic tank commanders. Because they're not a Deathcor specific, I won't go into them too much here, but they are almost an auto include. Now, think about that for a second. If you want to take maximum infantry orders, if you're taking Deathcor of Krieg and you're taking 3 battalions, which is pretty standard, you are going to really struggle on your HQ choices, because you have 10 HQ choices there, but in 3 battalions you can only take 9 HQ choices. You've got Venner, 3 senior officers, 3 junior officers, and 3 tank commanders. So that actually means you can't take all your HQ choices that you want unless I don't know how you do it. Let's take a Supreme Command Detachment. 2 battalions and a Supreme Command Detachment is one way of doing it. But so there is a little disadvantage there, unfortunately. But it's a double-edged sword, because on the other side, it means if you're playing a smaller points game and you're trying to get as many battalions in there as you can, it's cheaper, because you can take, say 1,000 points, you want to take 2 battalions, you can take 3 field officers, and that will cut down the amount of, that saves you 7 points, as if you were doing it over on guard commanders, because it's 23 points for a field officer and 30 points for a guard company commander. So there you go, guys. The HQ choices are really interesting, little crammed, but overall you've got access to everything you need in the HQ choice. There's no gaps. You've got good officers with good saves, good equipment options. You can still get you can take so many orders, and you can still get your good tank commands in there as well. If I was to do it, I think I'd take 3 tank commanders, 3 marshals, Venner, and 2 field officers. That's probably how I would do it, because that way you're getting 11 orders on your infantry squads, and you'll get, which is 2 more than regular guard can take, with 3 company commanders and 3 platoon commanders, and you also get 3 tank commanders as well. That's how I would do it. If I was going pure Deathcor Krieg, I'm looking at 3 battalions. That's how I would do it. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If any veteran Deathcor commanders out there, if I've missed anything, please put it down in the comment section below so we can all share that knowledge. And yeah, next that should cover us for the HQ choices. Now, next section we'll be moving on to will be the troops choices. And the Deathcor get 2 troop choices, so I'll probably cover both of those in one video. But I'll take a look at that and see if they warrant being split into 2. Hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and of course, I'll see you guys next time.